draw a drawing, for preparing drawings. Now you see in front of you only the navigator button at the top left, and a question symbol in the upper right corner. The question mark is a transition to the command school, where the application will provide detailed tips on how to work with it. Be sure to read them at your leisure, as this is a complete description of the application. The first launch of the application is accompanied by a background download of these prompts from the server within 1 megabyte. Loading is almost imperceptible, but important, since hints are necessary to understand how to work with the application. First, we will indicate to the application that we will create a new drawing. Let's immediately determine the name of the file of the new drawing, which will be created according to ISO standards. Leave the scale unchanged by default. The next obligatory dialog in the process of creating a new drawing is creating a new projection. The drawing must contain at least one projection. Leave the projection type and all other parameters as default. By the way, each dialog in the application has a link to hints, which are easily invoked by a button with a question symbol. You can read everything in detail here. Press the button Execute. A window for the front view projection has been created. The first stage of construction that the application offers us is called Supporting Points. This is, firstly, visible in the navigator. And, secondly, it can be seen by the buttons in the upper right corner of the tablet screen. If you point to any of these buttons and keep this indication, the application will display information about the purpose of this button. Using the Mode button of the Support Points stage, we call the command menu of this stage. Let's select the function Allow Adding New Points. And assuming to place a rectangle on the projection, we will place 4 points, as it were, in the corners of the future rectangle. Note that in the upper right corner of the screen there is another button labeled Alt. It can be used if we need to remove the dot. Now we will enter the lines of the rectangle, and for this we go to the Pictures stage. In the Entering Graphics menu, select the line type to begin with. The default is Solid Main. We will leave her. Now you need to select the type of graphic element. Let's select Straight Line Segment, or rather by the method of input of the element, 2 points on a straight line segment. Let us mark in pairs the points at which these segments of straight lines should be set. It turned out like this, not very strict rectangle. I didn't aim when I placed dots, I didn't measure the dimensions, I just poked at the surface and placed the dots. And I just hung the lines on them. We will now straighten it out using dimensions. In the menu of the Dimensional Network stage, select the New Dimension item. By default, the linear dimension is selected, along the x-axis, visible. We indicate that now we will install an outrigger of dimensions with smaller coordinates along the x-axis, that is, such a support in which the dimension arrow points from right to left. We could start with the outrigger with large coordinates along the x-axis. This order does not matter. We exit the dialog by pressing the OK button. I marked 2 points at once for the same dimension. This means that these points will be set on the projection plane along the same vertical extension line, which is the support of the entered dimension. Now for the linear dimension we put an outrigger with large coordinates along the x-axis. Please note that the Done button of the Dimension Input Control dialog has become available, but it is too early to use it, since the dimension has not been fully entered yet. Exit the dialog by clicking the OK button. We mark 2 points of the rectangle. The application calculated how far the first support points with smaller and larger dimension coordinates are now from each other. Let's enter our own distance, which will serve as the value of the entered dimension. Be sure to enter a number by pressing the Enter button on the virtual keyboard. The dimension is ready. Now click on the Done button of the dimension preparation dialog. The dimension is saved. We introduce a new dimension along the y-axis, also linear. The outrigger with the smaller coordinate refers to the dimension arrow that points from top to bottom. Mark the bottom 2 points of the rectangle. I can change the dimension support in the context menu, which is called by double-clicking on the projection surface or by not holding the mark anywhere for a long time. Let's mark the top points of the rectangle. The dialog for entering the dimension value can also be called in the context menu. Now let's start building a rectangle image that will correspond to the entered dimensions. Select the View Building stage and press the Execute button in the dialog. Let's place the image in the viewport. Here's what we got. The application for the entered dimensions corrected the distortion of the rectangle and automatically placed the dimension lines. Let's continue building. Let's put fillet. They are specified through a special dimension. This dimension has only one support, but unlike other dimensions, it does not line up points along any line, but indicates individually for each point that in its place on the drawing there should be a fillet with the specified radius value. Let's see what happens. Let's set the axes of symmetry. Now we use the Control button, which is located in the upper right corner of the tablet screen. It allows you to create supporting points at the same time as you enter a graphic element. Now let's fix the new points on the projection plane using linear dimensions. But this time not visible, that is, those that will affect the location of points on the projection, but will not be shown in the drawing. Let's specify the dimension from the left edge of the rectangle that will fix the vertical axis. And set the dimension relative to the bottom edge of the rectangle that will fix the horizontal axis. We could have specified the same dimension relative to the top edge, the result would be the same. Yeah, here I was in a hurry. I have not indicated all the dimensions in order to fix the points. The application highlighted them in yellow. I have indicated for the points on the horizontal axis of the dimension, which fixes them in the vertical direction. But I didn't fix their movement horizontally. I will attach these points to the already existing dimension, which creates a restriction in movement along the x-axis. We will do exactly the same procedure for the vertical axis. Everything worked out. Now let's see what we have in the drawing. The application has chosen A4 format. We are now at the layout drawing stage. This is the last stage of construction, after which the document can be output to a PDF file. Now we can rotate the drawing format. Note that the center lines, as expected, go beyond the contour of the part image, although we did nothing for this. We can choose a different title block. We have a compact title block form. You can use it, if that. Let's bring back the full form of the title block with additional lines, which was offered by default. Let's enter the name of the part. To do this, you need to touch the column where it should be indicated and enter the text of the name in the received request. Let's continue drawing. Let's choose the line type, solid main, the type of the graphic element, circle. Let us activate the Control button, which will force the application to create this supporting point simultaneously with anchoring the graphic element to the supporting point. For the second circle, we first indicate a point on the circle, and then turn off the mode of simultaneous creation of new support points, since we use the center of the previous circle. We fix the circles by the dimensions. First, select the type of dimension, diameter. The diameter can be specified in two ways, with a center or two extreme extension lines. We choose the option with the center. In this case, the second extension line will not be available. We indicate right away that the dimension for the whole will now be set. Although this characteristic can be specified later and even after